Battlefield 4 promised to be what Battlefield 3 should have been, I think. Although BF3 was extremely popular, DICE omitted quite a few things from the game that players of the last mainline titles, probably Battlefield 2 and 2142, they'd missed those things. It was also the game that I started to really grow my YouTube channel with. And despite the game being responsible for helping me in a big way, I do have a love-hate relationship with it. When Battlefield 4 first launched, I think it was clear to most of the community who'd bought the game that it just simply wasn't finished. Continuous crashes, laggy performance, they're telltale signs that someone during development looked at the clock and went, damn, we're really close to release, and they just couldn't get it finished in time and it just got pushed out of the door in the state that it was. The game released at the same time as the next generation of consoles, and of course from a business perspective, EA and DICE really wanted to take advantage of all of those new gamers picking up consoles. They wanted to be that launch title, and therefore, against their better judgment with the beauty of hindsight, they released the game in the state that it was. It wasn't the first time though that DICE had a poor launch. Battlefield 3 suffered from a buggy release and various game-breaking bugs throughout its life, and Battlefield Bad Company 2 on PC launched with no multiplayer servers being available for people to play on. Getting off the ground has never really been DICE's strong suit. Battlefield 4, however, topped it all. Because the game had reached a larger audience than ever, the noise created when it all went bottoms up was louder than ever as well. The game was even crashing on consoles, which is rarer than on PCs because either the game runs on PS4 hardware or Xbox One hardware. There's no variation when it comes to the PS4 or the Xbox One. That's just two configurations to optimize. On PC, you've got thousands of combinations of processors, RAM, graphics card, storage, whatever, and that has to be considered. The game was really not in a good state. Despite all of these issues though, I think the game was helped and was probably kept alive in the early days by the quick deployment of DLCs. November, just 1 month after launch, China Rising released. In November as well, Second Assault released for the Xbox One, and then for everyone else, it launched in February, and then in March was Naval Strike. So that's 15 new weapons, 12 new maps, and loads more in under 6 months since the launch of the game. That's a lot of content to keep players coming back, and as soon as they saw that the DLC was going to drop, of course they stuck the game disc back in their consoles or they fired up their PC, and they'd come back to the game to play it. By comparison, Battlefield 1 at this point in time, on July the 28th, has still only had one major DLC launch, and we are nearly 10 months after launch. We did get a free map in December, Giant Shadow, but then BF4, if you pre-ordered the game, you got an entire DLC. You got China Rising. So perhaps there is some truth that content keeps people coming back to video games. For Battlefield 4, I think it kept people interested for long enough to see through all of the game's issues, which were slowly but surely being fixed. Now, whilst all this was going on, I was covering the game on my own channel, and it was growing steadily. But I agree with the community that the game needed some serious attention. I actually considered not making videos for the game anymore because it just wasn't as enjoyable to play round after round. BF3 for me had this addiction where I could just continue playing all of the time. The bugs in BF3 were nowhere near as severe as what they were in BF4. But I actually considered stopping making videos for BF4 because I just wasn't having as much fun as I thought I was going to. I mean, sure, I could fire up the game on my PC and play a few rounds, but I'd get frustrated with the netcode problems, the bad hit detection, and the crashes that would just randomly occur every few rounds. It was really annoying. But for whatever reason, and I can't remember what reason that was, I did carry on making videos. I think at the time I was covering all the new weapons from the Naval Strike DLC. I was doing videos on those and I was really enjoying making those videos. And that's one thing I'll mention here actually. I say this to people all of the time when they're saying, don't you get bored of playing the same game over and over? Being a YouTuber, you don't play as much of the game as people think you might do. Part of YouTube for me is not the kick that I get from seeing all of the comments and the views and the likes. That is a huge part of it and I appreciate everyone who watches my videos, but I really enjoy editing my videos. It's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. I like the task of collecting all the clips, syncing up my commentary with music and everything else. I just really like that stuff. So I carried on making videos for the game, and I soon realised that my perseverance did actually pay off. The Battlefield 4 CTE was launched in May 2014, I think, and that allowed DICE to run testing servers of bug fixes and changes before they put all of those changes live in the main game. And this was perfect for me because it allowed me to cover even more content for the game and go into some specifics with the things that DICE were really working on. And overall, I'd say it was because of the CTE that my channel kept moving forwards and the number of subscribers kept going up. You guys out there, more people than ever, were watching and checking out my videos, and that's a really great feeling when you see all of that growth. Since the early days of YouTube, I'd always wanted to make a job out of it. Lots of big channels out there have managed to make a job out of it, and that's something that I wanted to do for my own channel. And although at this stage I was still fairly small in comparison to them, I think at that point I had about 50,000 subscribers, I could see it all moving in the right direction, and that made me really happy. So as the CTE kicked in, with more and more improvements coming to the game, it actually made the main game better and better, and I'd formed this identity of being a YouTuber who'd always kept people updated on the latest information for Battlefield 4 at the time. I still wasn't able to cover all of the news all of the time because I had a full-time job to go to, but the CTE was starting to get more and more updates, and with my channel, that kept growing. And I'd gone from just casually playing the game and making videos to really getting involved with the community and spending night after night playing on the testing servers. And it was probably at this point that I realised my relationship with the franchise was changing. The DICE developers would spend a lot of time on there as well, and it was cool to play with those guys, and playing with the rest of the community that had built up in these testing servers. These guys had given up their main gaming time in the main game, and they'd come over to the testing servers to help make Battlefield 4 better. I think we all felt like we were really making a difference, giving the developers the data they needed to make positive changes to Battlefield 4. And it's that reason that I carried on making those update videos, and I still do to this day, explaining new changes and new features, because the more people understand what's happening and the reasons why that is, the more informed the community becomes as a whole. And then it's up to that person who has the information to form their own opinion on what's happening, whether that's good or bad, it doesn't matter. But having that information in the first place means the game, and by extension the developers, get more feedback. The game gets better because everyone understands what's going on. Battlefield 4 for me was a game that really facilitated the growth of my channel. I passed 100,000 subscribers with Battlefield 4, and ultimately it allowed me to open up my own business. By the time the next major Battlefield game rolled around, Battlefield 1, I was given some opportunities to really push myself, and it was because of Battlefield 4 getting me to that initial point that I was able to take those opportunities and push my channel even further. At the start, I was in the same boat as everyone else with Battlefield 4. I was complaining about the game, how it was broken, and I wasn't really doing much to help the situation. But by the end of the game's life, I'd sunk about 120 hours into the CTE, played hundreds of games with the developers, and built my own community with followers of this franchise. That's the love-hate relationship here. I'd have loved to have grown my channel from my grassroots with a game that was working properly at launch, but in a way I'm thankful I didn't, because I doubt I would have reached the same position that I'm in today. But yeah, thanks very much for watching again and listening to me ramble on about Battlefield 4 on my YouTube channel. Let me know some of your experiences with Battlefield 4 down in the comments section, because I think it was a very divisive game for the community. Some people really stuck with it and saw it all the way through till the end, people like me, and then some people just sort of played it for the first 6 months and then never came back to it because it was literally so broken. And when the next Battlefield game came around, Battlefield Hardline, that had its own issues as well, although it was nowhere near as broken as what Battlefield 4 was. Be on the lookout for the next episode of my Battlefield career on Battlefield Hardline. That one is coming up very, very soon. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.